For the thousands in the comments and the millions listening on YouTube Premium.
Folks, welcome to another episode of KNITRO here on the Squared Circle Pit. Brand new channel. Oh my God. It's Jordan and Rob, and once again, we have hardcore lore, story, and bow looters.
What's up, pimps?
Unbelievable amount of air horns under there. Oh my God. Bo.
Yeah.
We're watching another episode of Nitro. How you feeling about it?
Again, boy, howdy, was there some content in this one.
Oh my God.
I have questions when we get to it.
Good 20 minutes, good hour of content, huh?
Yeah. But again, it's so, I forgot how just like cartoony it was. I forgot because I got into it in the Attitude Era, really, and it was much more gritty. I just forgot.
Are you enjoying? Are you enjoying how weird and cartoony it is overall?
For 45 minutes, yes.
Oh, yeah.
If it stayed that way for 3 hours, no way. You know?
Eventually, apparently, it will. Am I right, Rob?
Yeah, but we have a years to go until that happens.
Yeah,
so we could brace ourselves.
Woo!
We'll be good.
God. What have I agreed to? God damn.
I don't know.
But
I was also thinking.
I kind of jumped ahead last night before bed and just watched something much more recent, and I'm like, oh man, we are in for it. We are in for it. But
my
there's
God.
plenty to go. We are in the thick of honestly one of the worst era, maybe the worst era of WCW, which is this Dungeon of Doom program. And it's so bad that I feel like even Pepe phoned it in this week. I was a little disappointed for the first week ever. I did not.
He was a little clown. You didn't like his little pointy hat?
Well, after the last few weeks of just top-notch stuff, this seems like an afterthought costume.
They can't all, like...
Yeah.
You can't win.
They
you only got
break
so
them down,
much closet space.
Yeah,
And
last
his-
week
you're a
was
little
so
dog.
good. I couldn't.
His head's going to get too big. It goes straight to their heads.
Oh, 100%.
You know.
The ego on this little chihuahua.
Mm.
Unreal. What did you think, Bo? Did you like this Pepe outfit?
I enjoyed it. He's just out of his mind. Some of the stuff he says,
Mongo.
Mongo?
Absolutely.
it's unbelievable.
Oh my God.
It's unbelievable.
We love Mongo.
Dude, I love there was literally I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but there's literally a moment where like Sting picks up Ric Flair and Mongo just goes, "Woo, he picked that man up over his head and slammed him on the mat."
Yes, he
He
did.
sure did.
Sure, that
Boy, oh boy.
you can't say he didn't do that.
Yeah.
I love it. Mongo just like saying stuff as if it's like a fun saying, but it's just extremely literal. Like the Killer Bees from last time. I can't believe it because like you should say like they're getting all stirred up like Killer Bees that had too much caffeine, but instead he's like, that's like a couple of bees, huh?
Dude, it's cool. I didn't know Tony Schiavone until AEW.
Yeah.
So it's cool that he's like, it's funny that like he's not changed. It's the exact fucking same thing.
Oh, yeah.
Have you ever noticed how often he says man?
Tony Schiavone?
Dude,
I haven't picked
he
up on
says
it, but I'll
man
pay
or
attention.
guys. He'll be like, he's really giving it to him now, guys. And or like if somebody says something, he'll be like, yeah, man. Like honestly,
It's
I think
so
if you were
good.
to do the like drinking game every time he says something, you'd be fucked up in an hour.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
It's crazy.
Good drinking game for a Nitro episode,
Yeah.
I guess.
There you go. It's like the Adam Cole. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
The compilation of
yeah.
how he does that. Like once you hear it, you're gonna like you're gonna hear it. Yeah, it's crazy.
it's extremely bizarre. Adam Cole is one of those promos where it's like, this is almost perfect. Except for the part, there's like just a little bit of it where you can tell that he's one of these guys who's learned how to talk from watching too much wrestling. So there's just terminology thrown around where it's like, that's not entirely like properly used.
I don't think you understand the meaning of this word.
Yeah.
There is a promo on this Nitro that is incredible. No irony at all. Where I was like, holy shit, he really is like one of the GOATs.
Oh, I think I know which one you're talking about. We're gonna wait.
We're gonna
get there.
Yeah,
we're gonna wait.
There's an interactive element.
Yes,
this episode.
Yes,
which I'm into. I think this is a very, very good gimmick. Everybody's desperate for ratings right now. You know, Raw is competing with Nitro. They're on at the same time. This is now the week after the pay-per-view, so they have a little momentum. And they announced that there's 2 separate locker rooms. And you know, I forgot to write down all the wrestlers, but you know, there's a red locker room and a blue locker room, which is, you know, the good guys and the bad guys, faces and heels. And it's like Sting, this guy, and then like like David Sullivan, which I know you guys were like, who is the guy in the green jacket? And why is this? I knew it.
Joe, what's going on with this rabbit?
Yeah, so
literally a rabbit.
This is Dave Sullivan. In storyline, he is the younger brother of Kevin Sullivan, who is the Taskmaster.
The Task.
I think he actually might be his younger brother. I have to look it up. But he kind of plays a mentally challenged character. So sometimes he comes out as, instead of Dave Sullivan, he comes out as Evad which is Dave backwards, with a rabbit.
Oh
and God. It was not good in 1995. And it's even worse now. But God. This idea of this hotline and calling in, I think it's very forward thinking. This is basically the idea for the eventual WWE pay-per-view Taboo Tuesday or Cyber Sunday, where you kind of vote for your matches, even though midway through the show, they're basically telegraphing to you what match you should vote for.
Yeah.
Because you vote for somebody in the red locker room and the blue locker room. And so in the face locker room, you know, it's Sting. And in the blue locker room, it's the Nature Boy.
Yeah.
Ric Flair.
There's just no way, like, they actually let people vote, like, or counted the vote.
Right.
No.
They are not
imagine
counting these votes.
Imagine if it was like Alex Wright versus, I don't know, like Steven Regal.
Yeah.
You know,
Here's the thing.
It wouldn't be that.
I would love it, but there are some, and it might have happened, but there were some hanging chads. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not going down. But I agree that, like, the concept of this is a lot of fun. And I would love if they just kept doing it. I feel like after a while they were like, we probably can't keep doing this because if Hogan's on the show, he ain't getting picked.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
He ain't getting voted for the main event, and that's going to be bad.
There's egos involved.
So what was
speaking of? Oh,
go ahead. Oh, I was gonna say, what was the first match? It was the squash.
I was gonna say,
right?
Speaking of bad, we got Cobra and his fucking Morse code entrance music. Bo.
Oh, well, did you notice there was a mistake? They played the first 2 seconds of the Dungeon of Doom theme song, and there was like, which is like that laughter, and then they're like, oh wait, no, and then you hear the Cobra, the Morse code, which I swear I was like, is this some error on the tape? Like, is this the emergency broadcast system?
That's exactly what happened with me. I got a little pop up that said disable ad blocker to enjoy this content, so I thought that was like Peacock being like, you have ad blocker on, beep, 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 and like, oh, you know what? I thought I was being punished. And then, so I disabled the ad blocker.
The worst entrance theme of all time.
That motherfucker comes
Cobra?
out to Morse code.
God.
Unreal. And I don't understand also, so this is the first time we see the Giant in action on free television. He just wrestled his first match on pay-per-view 2 weeks ago, last Sunday. And first of all, I love that the match was literally just the choke slam.
Yeah.
That's all it should have been. That's all I wanted the match to be. I did not want to see these two wrestle. But if that's the case, why did you even give Cobra an entrance? Why not save those 2 minutes?
Oh, God.
You only have 49 minutes. Those 2 minutes you could have given to Eddie Guerrero later in the show. You know, like what are you doing?
It's so. The thing is, the Morse code is so loud.
It was so loud
was
that
so
I thought
loud.
it was my web browser.
Yeah, the mix
yeah.
was terrible.
It
so
makes me
insane.
wonder if like I don't know if like the audio from the actual recording was somehow like mix minused and that was like an external track or something, because it was louder than commentary. It was like it was fucking crazy. That was crazy.
Because it seems like most of the theme songs are played in the arena, and you're picking up the arena mics to hear it.
So that's what it was.
And they're very low.
So that was
this one.
Yeah, that was played on like the master audio channel or something.
Yeah.
What if it's that Peacock had to replace it? They're like, oh, we don't have the rights to this Morse code, so we have to put in new.
Dude,
there is some of that on here. Some of the entrance themes are replaced.
They be doing that.
Yeah.
Here's another weird thing about this match is that Giant's coming out with the title belt that technically isn't his, and they on commentary they are reminding you, the television viewer, that he's not the champion. But in the ring, they're behaving as if he is. Like the ref is holding up the title.
Oh yeah, true.
Well, that's
so
because
like everyone
the Giant,
in the arena.
The Giant bullied him into doing that. The Giant threatened him and told him to hold it up, that this was a title match. So it's all because of his bullying. But I agree. I have in my notes, like, why couldn't the Giant just have won the title? Like, why do we have to pretend?
Because of Hogan.
We know why.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
We be knowing.
But dude, Jimmy Hart, amazing.
He's
such a good mouthpiece.
I can't believe he was with Hogan at all. Like, why wait? It makes so much sense that Jimmy Hart turned and became like essentially the manager of the Dungeon of Doom, the figurehead of Dungeon of Doom.
It's
He's
awesome.
like the what's Paul Heyman, the special counsel to the Dungeon of Doom.
Yeah.
It's helping so much, and also just another mullet watch. Jimmy Hart bringing another vibe of mullet to the team, which I love, which is like late 1980s stand-up comedian mullet, where it's like Billy Crystal and Jerry Seinfeld.
Yeah, dude, Seinfeld had a crazy one.
Yeah?
I don't even know how it worked. I don't understand how the physics of hair allowed him to operate that way.
I've been trying to I watch every day, and I don't know. I don't know how it happened.
So that match was good.
Yeah.
Then
we go backstage.
Yeah.
We get to see both the red locker room and the blue locker room. This is your first look at Tony Schiavone. By the way, I want to mention, when they were initially promoting the hotline, Bobby Heenan goes, "I want to see Okerlund versus Schiavone."
I
love that.
Me too, Bobby.
I love that. And then Bishop was like, "That's not an option."
Dude, I will say, Hacksaw going back and forth was funny.
Yeah.
Insane.
It got me. Also Sting for a minute was just like staring. Like when they he just didn't move and was just staring like at Flair, and it was awesome.
It's awesome.
It was so
good. It was so good.
Sting
was
and
great.
Flair saving this program.
Oh,
absolutely. And honestly, I think I love this hotline format. But if your end goal was to get to Sting and Flair, I'm stunned that this is how they chose to do it. Like, why not announce it the week before? This is maybe one of the 3 or 4 biggest matches you can give away for free. Why isn't it guaranteed? Like, you didn't even know it was happening until both wrestlers came to the ring. Advertise this. Make sure people stick around.
I think they did, because they advertised it last week. I just don't think that they guaranteed that it was going to be the main event. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, okay.
So they're voting for Sting and Flair to main event the show, which they kind of did.
yeah.
They were basically like, you could get Sting versus Ric Flair if you call him. This really was just a money squeeze, right?
Yeah.
Because they were like, we know people want to see this match. Let's make them pay to see it.
Yep, totally.
Okay. Now we move on to my questions.
Yes.
Okay.
We go to this Venice. Oh my God, my cat just almost took down my whole speaker. Thanks, brother.
The animals on this episode are being animals.
We go to Venice Beach.
Oh my God, this moment.
The guy singing, he's probably still there to this
We
day.
have a 99-cent store, Jimi Hendrix. So before we say this, I want to mention last week we learned that Hulk Hogan apparently is not contractually obligated to be on pay-per-view until next year. So we have a few months until Hogan is contractually obligated to be on pay-per-view. I don't know if he's shooting a movie or what, but so now they have to figure out a way to write him in without writing him into pay-per-view matches, I guess.
I see.
But really, I'm just like, how is he not in this World War III event?
Which,
based on what happens later on.
But
we'll get there.
Yeah.
But so we start with this 99-cent store Jimi Hendrix. And I'm blown away by this because like this whole segment, I just kept thinking about like, this is like when we go out on a remote and like everybody cancels on us and we're like, fuck it, just start recording. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Like, that's what this felt like. This was so like, who was that crazy person with Hulk Hogan?
Here's my question. And maybe I'm showing complete ignorance. I thought the whole thing about Hogan being the third man later on was the first time he turned heel.
No, this was the soft launch.
This is soft. He's soft launching the NWO gear,
Like the Hollywood shit.
It's
this
crazy.
is before
Dude,
they
he's
came
got
up with
the
the
lightning
thing.
on Halloween
Right,
Havoc.
right.
He's literally wearing the lightning pants.
So
it's crazy.
That confuses me. So he was just a full on heel.
So here's the idea: when as soon as he got to WCW, like people were booing him. The WCW fans, Southern wrestling fans, did not like Hulk Hogan,
right? Because he was a New York guy.
Yeah, and it was just like the war. You know, you were taught to hate Hulk Hogan, and he was the antithesis of the type of wrestling that they like. So even though he brought in these sponsors, you know, getting all this money for them, the core fan base wasn't really hot about him. So virtually from the moment he got to WCW, people were pitching, maybe it's time to turn heel. You've been a good guy now for 15 years, whatever it's been. Maybe it's time to try it out. And he was very, very, very hesitant because he felt it would affect the most important thing to him, his money.
Yeah.
So even when he agreed to do it, which was here, because this is without Nash and Hall to kind of push him to actually be a bad guy, he is getting his way, and he is, from what I gather, like they initially would write him to be more villainous, and he just wouldn't agree to do it. He'll like, all right, I'll put on the black, I'll shave my goatee. And what ends up happening is none of this works. This is so inconsistent.
Yeah.
It's confusing.
Yeah.
When did Macho Man join the dark side? Like Macho Man is with him
Off
here.
screen.
He says Macho Man has joined the dark side. Macho Man is now also in black and white.
Yeah.
As opposed to the beautiful, colorful outfits he's had. Macho Man, and to your point, to my point earlier of how Hogan is not on TV, Macho Man says, I will go to Nitro and I will go see who is your real friend and report back to you, which weren't Macho Man at the pay-per-view. Didn't you challenge Hulk Hogan for the world title as well and like call him out for calling you out?
Super
like why do
strange.
I care? Like should I stop paying attention because you guys aren't paying attention?
Really
Crazy.
weird. I was very confused, and that honestly takes a little bit of the air out of when Hogan does finally like fully go.
It totally does. I did not know that this happened.
Neither did
I've been waiting for the NWO story, and I'm being told that we got a year to go. And then in like episode 5, he does the whole shtick. Like the whole look happens.
This is going to get dropped very quickly. Like we're almost at the end of it. Next week is something very, very bad.
But for it to be this,
and
it doesn't work, and then this is also what he heel character is once it works.
I guess
The fact that he was like, you know what I should bring back? All that fucking awful
all that shit that's been in the locker room. I guess it just goes to show you like how much the Outsiders added.
Yeah.
And how
it's
much-
all them.
Yeah.
It's all them.
Yeah.
But beyond that as well, though, like he's playing a heel, but in the match, he is still the babyface. Like he's wrestling heels. When he joined the NWO,
Yeah.
he faced baby faces. He faced good guys. He was the heel, positioned as the heel in the match. So he worked the match as the heel. He's not even doing that now. It's like it's the most. He's trying to be like an anti-hero, I guess. I
guess
it's very weird. I do want to give a shout out to Colin because we got a stinky rat infested giant from Hulk Hogan, which is Colin's favorite phrase.
Everybody on the show, we live for big, warty, stinky, rat infested giant.
But now we get Diet Warrior.
Oh my God.
Oh yes. We got Renegade. So before we get to Renegade, he's facing the Taskmaster Kevin Sullivan. This is such inconsistent branding. The Nitro graphic calls him Taskmaster. The announcers only refer to him as Kevin Sullivan. The Master refers to him as Sullivan. Which one is it?
Yeah, right.
like pick one. Like this would never happen in WWE. This was a funny match because Kevin Sullivan is all of 5'2" and Renegade is maybe like 6 feet. And this was supposed to be a match where the Renegade is the jobber. Like typically, if you look at these, you would think it'd be the other way around. So Renegade is just selling the whole match for Kevin Sullivan. At one point, Kevin Sullivan crotches the Renegade on the guardrail on the outside and goes to clothesline him, except Sullivan is so short that he has to jump to clothesline the Renegade. It was too funny. I couldn't, I am not someone who lambasts the short kings, but Kevin Sullivan, come on.
Don't do that.
Dude, it's crazy to me. I don't remember much obviously like Sting was kind of their Undertaker eventually. And like, I know that like, whatever. I never realized and I always knew that the Renegade was their warrior, but I never realized like how like from the music to the entrance to the face paint.
It was very intentional. They couldn't get the warrior, so they got this guy from the power plant to be a knockoff.
Yeah, 1000%. This guy crawled out of Indian Point and is just trying his best. I also one of the most wrestling things in the world is to copy something, and like 2 weeks before they debut the Renegade, he squashes somebody or some shit. He wins, and then they realize, fuck, everyone hates this, and then this is like the Renegade's second match, and they're just jobbing him out to like the grandpa from Rugrats. Like this is crazy. This is bananas. They're like, isn't this guy suck? I'm like, you did this. You made him.
Yeah,
do
you're
this.
the one. Exactly.
He might have been awesome if you didn't make him put a corn R on his face.
Yeah.
And copy all the moveset of a guy who literally of Sting's best friend. This is crazy.
So
there was a great Mongoism during this match. Mongo
let's
goes,
hear it.
My physics professor in college told me a long time ago that the ultimate power in the universe is chaos. And Heenan chimes in, you went to college? And Bischoff goes, that's a scary thought. The chaos thing, not college, Heenan. Come on.
Oh my God.
Heenan is so quick that Bischoff mentally was just getting ready to reply to Mongo, and Heenan already got his line out.
Dude,
it was
Heenan,
so good.
Heenan is killing it with
He's
the
on,
sake.
he's on a different show.
Yeah.
Heenan is like, he's like, whatever you give me, I'm gonna make it work. Because I put in 100% effort into literally everything. He made that sushi scene last time work.
Yes.
He's drinking sake, doing bits about it. He's killing it.
I totally missed the joke. I went back and watched it of him looking at the sushi, being mortified and
Throwing
dumping
it,
it,
yeah.
and then just being like, "Oh, so good!" Like it was so subtle that I didn't pick up, but it was
Oh
great.
shit! I don't
He's
think I noticed
so
that. Yeah.
funny. He's unbelievable. God bless him.
He was drinking some sake tonight, and they were
Yeah.
like, "What's this colored water you're drinking?" Like they didn't even. It's so hilarious how Japanese culture was such a more foreign thing in the 90s, whereas now we all know what that is.
I can't believe Kevin Sullivan's finish is the Finn Balor finish.
Oh, but Finn Balor at least holds his weight.
Yeah.
Kevin Sullivan is stomping on you. There's no way that didn't hurt as hell. Like he just used his full force to stomp on it.
He didn't like his knees like moved a little bit when he hit that, and you could just like see that like the rest of the cartilage he had is now gone.
Oh my god!
So crazy.
Also,
There
during
are-
this match, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was
Bo.
just gonna say there are moves and like spots that I can't imagine taking.
Mhm.
You know, and I've asked, you know, a couple of the guys like, what sucks? Like, what do you hate?
Yeah.
And the majority say just like a off the top turnbuckle, like a splash, because it doesn't matter. It just sucks, and you have to just lay there.
Oh yeah, I've taken
Yep.
a 450 once, and I totally got the wind knocked out of me.
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
it was at an indie thing, and the guy is an indie wrestler, so it was brutal.
Imagine taking 45-year-old Jeff Hardy's current Swanton Bomb,
Oh, yeah.
my
where
God.
he hits you with his entire back.
Yeah,
His
no,
like
thank you.
45-year-old like just dense bread
Yeah, the
back
dad,
and belly.
the dad ass. Oh,
The worst spot for me is in a ladder match when they put the ladder between the ring and the guardrail. You
Yeah.
know, it's like across, and then they like slam you into it.
yeah.
I just can't physically imagine how you take that without hurting. Like it hurts. There's no way it does. Even if it cracks, it hurts. I don't know. It's tough.
Yeah, it looks awful. The thesis of this discussion is wrestling hurts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Owie.
It
Big
may be
owie.
choreographed, but it's not fake.
All right, but now we get
Now
to talk about
Dude, yeah.
like a top
Oh, well, hold on. We do
promo.
see really quickly. I want to just mention before the last match, we see all the Japanese wrestlers in the crowd also eating sushi, observing.
That
and
part
we
is fucked
learn-
up, but
Yeah, we learned that Sonny Ono has bought half an hour on the weekend shows to showcase this talent. And so you'll now be seeing Japanese. And I want to say the talent that they brought over, they didn't bring in their undercard guys. This is the main top guys in New Japan at the moment.
Oh,
Masahiro Chono, Masa Saito, Jushin Thunder Liger was there. I think
Wow.
Jumbo
Fucking
Tsuruta
rocks.
might have been there. It was like, it's the real deal. Like they're bringing their legit big guns over here. And it's so funny to me that they're on a WCW Sunday morning program. I read that the WCW wrestlers were none too happy to have to keep losing to these guys because most of their finishers are submissions. They don't want to look weak submitting,
Yeah.
but tough.
It was probably
shit.
filmed like later that night after they went off air too. You know,
Dude,
it's funny to like bring these guys over, make it a whole thing, and it's like, yeah, we're gonna tape it, but
Oh,
See you
and
Sunday.
we did mention that they totally kill Renegade here. Like they end the gimmick basically with Jimmy Hart smudge, because Jimmy Hart used to manage Renegade. And then he smudges off the mask and he calls him Rick, which is his real name. Which is like they're doing this already.
Yeah.
You know?
listen, yeah, like this just happened. Like, good for them for being like, this ain't working.
It's
Yeah,
not
But
working.
like,
Yeah,
maybe don't. It is very wrestling to make it like it's the wrestler's fault, and it's like, no, you made this up for him.
yeah.
Leave Rick
Exactly.
alone.
Yeah, I
Let
hope-
him come out
This
as
is, by the way,
something
this
else.
is not the end of Renegade. I just want to say,
Oh,
like
okay,
he's
good.
still around.
God
after
but they
damn
this.
like took the pain off. It was symbolic.
Yeah.
Now we go to the
well,
locker room.
Now the
And
the highlight of the show.
It really was, wasn't it? Isn't it funny?
Yeah.
The lights go off while Flair is shouting, and he's so what?
Oh,
No,
just
go ahead, I'm
I'm
sorry.
with you. I'm just
He's
emoting.
so fucking quick on his feet that he Mean Gene is selling it, which is amazing. What's going on here? And then Flair is so fucking quick that he says, "I'm God, and I can turn these lights on and off if I want," or maybe it's when they come back on.
So good.
But it's just like, holy shit, dude! Like, he didn't skip a beat. He worked.
You didn't
it
even
in.
see him processing it.
No,
Like,
yeah,
it
just
just happened.
Yeah, the power. There was a literal power surge, and he was like, "These lights are turning on and off because I am God. In this building, I am God. In the ring, I am God." And I couldn't fucking believe.
I couldn't believe it. It was genuinely so impressive and like stuck with me the whole night. I was like, holy shit, he really is like one of the goats, you know?
He's
promo wise for sure.
In that, even in the ring, he's like, still
Oh, yeah.
unbelievable. Like, he's at the end. This is he's at the age where, like, here and in the shape where most people are like, yeah, one more year and I'm out. And this guy got 10 more years. He's still
it's
going,
crazy.
technically.
Yeah. He's past his peak for sure, but he's still very much in the prime of his stuff. I wrote that Ric Flair clearly has a really good Coke dealer in Jacksonville because he was fucking hyped. He was so hyped.
You know what's
it was
funny?
Such a pleasure to watch.
I noticed that when the lights come on, I mean, I'm looking at it right now, and Flair says like lights on, lights off, doesn't matter, Stinger, like blah blah blah, and then they come on and he calls himself God. Regal's behind him and gives him like an up and down, like holy shit. So Regal is also
Regal's
like
facials are so good in this. Like when they in the first shot when everyone's like arguing and then they part ways and Regal is just sipping tea in the background. Love it,
dude.
It's great.
I love it.
It's amazing. DDP, who was like new because he got it, he was older, right, when he like came in, is kind of awkwardly like brushing his hair out of his, but Regal like it's really cool to see these two guys who are kind of considered like legendary to like those are the consummate professionals, just like doesn't matter, stay in character, do the shit. It's really awesome. It's a very, very cool moment for live television.
I truly cannot wait to see William Regal on WCW like properly, because he hasn't been in there yet. He's had no matches. He's been in a couple of like backstage segments, and we've seen him on like graphics for WCW Saturday Night, which I just want to say the card they lay out for Saturday Night right after this promo. It's just, they're like, tune in to WCW Saturday Night where you're going to watch Disco Inferno's music video, and Jim Duggan goes to Ireland.
Oh, but also the spotlight matches: Arn Anderson versus Kurosawa. Don't undersell this.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Kill me.
No, they're running out. But then we really get like, this is what made Nitro stand out. This is something that made them untouchable compared to WWE, WWF at the time, which was Eddie Guerrero versus Chris Benoit. Immediately thought of what you mentioned earlier, Jordan, where these are two unique styles of mullet, looking like just in completely different stratospheres. Because
Chris Benoit has the Linda Hamilton from Terminator 1.
Yes.
Right. Yes. 1,
very, very important. Terminator 1, Linda Hamilton hair. Bo.
Yes.
Like, did you grow up watching Chris Benoit? Are you able to like process this match?
No. But I have since gone back and like I know their connection and like their history. So like I get it and it's awesome. This was the only match where I was like just like watching, you know what I mean? Because it was obviously really fucking good. And they're both so good.
They're both so good. For me, it is still like it's a lot of work to like because they go so hard. They're wrestling like they wrestle like Naito and Coda, where it's just fuck my head and neck all the time.
Dude,
And
those power bombs are like, oh, they should be illegal.
Yeah.
Like he's just dropping him on his neck.
It looks so sick, but no, I feel like it's like we make the show. I have to watch this.
Yeah.
I have to like critique it in some way, but it makes it almost impossible. And it's such a shame because it's inarguably like the art itself, the art that's being produced is so good. But I know that I'm watching like a brain literally deteriorate in front of my eyes.
Yeah.
And it creates
it
creates a monster.
There was a heart comment too.
Dude.
About Guerrero. There was another one.
Who
I think it was
dies of an enlarged heart. This is fucked.
There was. I literally think it was something like, doesn't matter the size of the man, the size of his heart is whatever. It's something along those lines. But
it was exactly that. Yeah.
Yep.
It was such a bummer, but this rocked. Eddie is the best. Focusing on Eddie in these matches makes it easier.
And doesn't he win by some trickery?
He gets it. I think.
The legs. Benoit's legs were under the rope, so it's kind of like it was that Guerrero Eddie's like thing always was to be like a cheater.
Not here. No, here he's just like he really doesn't have any sort of character just yet. So
but it's cool to like see something like that. It's like a real quiet foreshadowing of like, his shit later on.
Yeah,
I think it was more just
the most beautiful cheater of all time.
Yeah, I think it was more just they didn't want either of these guys to look weaker coming out of this.
Yeah.
So they just gave this. But it was weird how they were like, we don't even have time for a replay. Like, let's get out of here. And Heated was the only one like, oh, wait, this is wrong.
Yeah, it was crazy. We don't have time for a replay. Shut the fuck up. You have so much time on this show. What? You've shown us a lot of weird shit. We've watched like spots for phone numbers like 6 times.
Yes.
Come on. Give me the end again.
We go backstage, and this is where we see Dave Sullivan for the first time with his bunny. And we see all of these guys.
Oh, that's a live bunny, too. Jesus.
It's Sting, Johnny B. Bad, Alex Wright, who I guess is over his injury, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, the Nasty Boys, and Mr. JL. How, like, who, other than maybe Johnny B. Bad and Alex Wright, I can't imagine voting for any of these guys.
Who's got the belt?
Johnny B. Bad.
And what belt is that?
That is the World Television title.
Okay, got it.
Essentially like their version of the TNT Championship.
Yeah, of course. You know what's weird is obviously we're watching these and like the commercials are cut out, obviously. But there's still some commercials. Like there's a Slim Jim ad.
Yeah, I'm so glad that they
I want those.
Oh, no, I know. Dude, sometimes I watch 90s commercial compilations on YouTube. I love that shit. So, but it's just funny that like, when you think about it, okay, so Macho Man had a deal with Slim Jim and Slim Jim had to work something out with Turner in order to keep this in, blah, blah, and that's why it's still on Peacock. You know what I mean? Like it's, there's something.
Oh, in fact, Slim Jim was essentially paying for Macho Man's contract because Macho Man signed for $750,000 a year. Eric Bischoff always tells the story, and the Slim Jim contract was for $750,000 a year for advertising. So essentially, they got Macho Man for free.
Shit,
because of his Slim Jim, which also is another reason why I can't fathom how Vince McMahon let Macho Man go, because beyond just letting go one of the greatest wrestlers of his and any generation, way before the end of his prime, you're giving up almost $1 million in endorsement money. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, that's crazy.
I was looking out the window because I'm in awe that 2 companies don't see that this is the guy that he should be. how is he not? He's bringing like he's bringing the most famous wrestling promo commercial of all time.
Yeah.
Macho Man Slim Jim is synonymous. I can't tell you a single like wrestler spokesperson for any other product.
I think you could argue he's more famous for being the Slim Jim spokesperson than a wrestler, because when he died, I saw a lot of tweets of people just mentioning the Slim Jim thing, not even mentioning the wrestling thing.
People knew that he was a wrestler, but they were like, yeah, I know wrestling from Slim Jim. Like people got into wrestling from watching the Slim Jim's ad.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a much lesser extent, but Mankind and Chef Boyardee were later
I remember
on.
those, yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. And I don't know. It seems so strange to make a guy like that. Like, he has to be, at the time, number 2 to Hogan.
Yeah,
they
make him the best friend.
Yeah.
But I think that's what's so frustrating for him, and that's why he had this hatred for Hogan later in life, is because no matter how great he was, because Hogan was there, he could never be number 1. He was always 1A or 2. And it's so
Judy
crazy.
Greer. It's not it's not fair.
I think we talked about this last week. Like, imagine how much better WCW would be if Hogan wasn't there. Like, if he wasn't eating up all this time, and then Sting
money.
and Macho and Luger could like have good feuds and based on competitiveness and not just this fantasy that's being created. Like, it's such a bummer that Hogan has all this Hollywood cachet and Bischoff's so far up his ass that he doesn't see how much talent is right behind Hogan that could do a far better job of carrying the company.
Do you think that there's a through line of like they get Hogan and then are able, because of the money, is it the money that Hogan brings that they're able to eventually acquire this other talent and ultimately start beating WWF? Or do you think that probably would have happened regardless?
I think getting like they probably might not have been able to get Macho Man unless they got Hogan, because Macho Man, I believe, came after Hogan.
Okay.
I think what it is that because they got Hogan, he was able to go to the corporate sponsor, his bosses at Turner, and just be like, look, and Hogan was very expensive. Hogan, not only does Hogan get a yearly guaranteed contract, creative control, meaning he can turn down any storyline, which is why these stories make no sense, because he's constantly changing them and they have to be like, okay, all right. And the craziest thing that I just learned reading The Observer before we went live today, because they were talking about the Halloween Havoc buy rate and how it actually did really well. However, Hogan has a clause in his contract where he gets 25% of the gross of any pay-per-view that he appears on.
Holy shit.
Basically, if you take out the 25% that they had to pay for Hogan, they're theoretically doing worse than before Hogan got there. Just because of the crazy economics of it all. And as you can see, this is how eventually one thing leads to another, and Turner decides we don't want to deal with this accounting nightmare. That's the other reason why Hogan basically has to be in the main storyline, because you're paying him so much, you have to take advantage of that, you know, and why they don't have him on every pay-per-view.
Right. You know what else I think is interesting is like for example, you guys started watching from the first episode of Nitro. Does anyone like have a run-in or like a debut like we see today?
Not like that. No.
You know what I mean? Like that is like a part of the business that has been
the first episode of
Lex
is
Luger.
Lex
That's
Luger.
Right. Oh, I totally.
Lex Luger shows up at the end, which was crazy because he was on a WWF pay-per-view the night before.
Right. So that's fucking sick.
You're right. How did I forget that?
And like
it's the thumbnail.
Does anyone else do that?
Not for a while.
Not until like Scott Hall, right?
No. There's a few other jumps.
Okay. But and is it made? What I mean to say is it made to be like a look who's here, or is it just like walking down through my entrance?
No, I think it. I think it is. They make it a big deal if it's a jump.
Okay, cool.
And I think that WCW is the first company to really do that, to be like, you know who this is.
Yeah.
And WWF, when they get somebody, they're like, you don't know who this is. This is a whole other guy.
Right.
That's what I loved about WCW. They acknowledged all of wrestling history, and like the entire wrestling universe exists within the WCW universe.
That's
or
awesome.
WCW universe. But like with WWE, it's their own insular canon. So whatever happened outside doesn't exist until recently, I guess.
Yeah. I'm wondering if there ever was a version of Scott goes to WCW and cuts the promo without Hogan being there. Because that would have been, they could have, because here's the thing, until that happens, there's no ratings difference. Like WWF is still beating WCW.
Well, it's back and forth.
While they have. Is it back?
They have Hogan. Yeah.
Is it back and forth?
Yeah. But WCW, well, like the first 2 weeks, WCW wins. Then it kind of goes back and forth. But then once the NWO surfaces, there's no turning back.
Yeah.
Right.
But I agree with you. Without Hogan, there would be no NWO. Like they wouldn't have signed they wouldn't have had the budget. Without Hogan, there wouldn't have been Nitro. And without Nitro, they wouldn't have the budget to start signing guys like Nash and Hall. Right. And doing the NWO.
Interesting.
So yeah, I get that's the business end of it.
I can't wait.
It's very easy to look back and be like, oh, why can't they just fucking dump Hogan?
Yeah.
But it's because he's fucking he makes the money.
I
cannot
cannot wait until you guys get to that.
Yeah,
I can't.
I have no idea.
Even without having a podcast, I've gone back and watched that whole arc, and it is so good. I'm so excited. It's the best. It's the best. It's still the best. But let's finish this episode though.
Yeah,
we're jumping too ahead.
I'm excited.
We have this killer main event.
Good main event.
I was like you said, I put down all of myself, much like the Benoit Guerrero match.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm focusing on this.
Yeah,
this is so cool because it's Sting and Flair. There's a very clear story here, which is that Sting said he will murder Ric Flair if he turns on him, and Ric Flair turned on him. So
I will leave you for dead.
Where was Brian Pillman and Arn Anderson? I'm surprised they weren't in the building now that I think about it. But they had a great match. Like these two work like fucking gel. Like they know how to sell. They know what works. They know what spots to do. Ric Flair, Sting got Ric Flair up in the full press slam.
Yeah.
Like nothing. I couldn't believe how
he did like
that
4 of them. Dude,
yeah,
Sting,
it was so great.
I didn't realize that the press slam is like one of Sting's is like suplexes.
That's a
for
signature
Brock.
move.
Oh,
yeah,
it's like
he just keeps. It's his signature thing. Like every time, like the first Nitro is Sting and Ric Flair for the U.S. title, and Sting is just every time.
And you really got to hand it up to Flair. He's just like, yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
So there's so many similarities between the two of them. Both with like their finisher is similar. The woo is similar.
Oh, that's true.
Is that is that on purpose? Like, I don't know about their history. I know that they were kind of master and apprentice.
Yeah, like Ric Flair made Sting basically with two or three matches in the early 90s. Maybe, I never thought about the woos and the submissions. Maybe the woos a tribute.
I think the Sting's finisher is fucking sick, especially for Ric Flair being like his nemesis, because it just so natural, because of the leg tangle thing. Yeah. The fact that you can reverse Flair's move into his move is cool. So cool.
It's really cool.
Such a good idea.
Does he do the reverse DDT thing? The
Not
death
yet.
drop?
That's when
Not yet.
that's when
That's-
he's crow sting.
Okay,
Scorpion
That's
death
so
drop.
sick that he added that. It's a perfect quick finisher.
It's amazing.
Sting is amazing. I'm losing my mind.
He's great. He's so good. He's the fucking top guy.
He
So this
should
was
be
a
the top guy.
good, I would say good, not great match, but exactly what it needed to be.
Yeah.
The crowd was so into it. The
Yeah.
crowd loves Sting. The crowd loves watching Sting beat the shit out of Flair. I thought the ending was perfect. It made total
Yes.
sense in the storyline. Obviously, Sting has to win. Ric Flair has no problem losing to Sting. Ric Flair is a fucking professional. Ric Flair is always the one taking the loss, which we will see as the years pass. But this made all the sense in the world, and Sting holding on to the Scorpion Deathlock is so cool because very rarely nowadays, I feel, do you really see a face actually trying to get revenge? Like winning the match is just revenge for them, but
Yeah,
this was
right.
more than just winning the match for him. He needed to inflict pain on Ric Flair for turning on him, and this is the beginning of the shining light in this terrible moment with a great storyline with Lex Luger,
Yeah.
his best friend forever. This is now like 10 years of story of them being best friends. Like you just know it watching wrestling at the time. Lex Luger, who is now a bad guy, who is now with Jimmy Hart, comes out to Sting, who is the ultimate good guy,
Right.
and says something to him, which we don't we can't hear it, but it entrances Sting, and he lets go, and he leaves only with Luger. The entire babyface locker room
Yeah,
comes
he's
out
out
and
there,
tries to
yeah.
stop Sting, couldn't stop him. The only one to stop him was Lex Luger. What's going on? This is good storytelling.
Yeah. It was
This is so good.
awesome.
I see.
Him going
Rob-
back and wanting more, dude. Aggressive
Ah.
Sting is so sick.
Oh, yeah, that was so good.
Yeah.
He's fucking great.
Sting can do so much. Like his versatility, the fact that he can be Hulk Hogan better than Hulk Hogan, and he can be hard as
Yeah,
fucking
he kind of
nails.
hulks up. He does that. You're right. He does
Yeah.
kind of.
Like this era,
Yeah.
like blonde Sting is like a way better Hulk Hogan. How did WWF not fight harder for this guy at this time?
Yeah.
They
It
just could
seemed-
never.
if-
WCW would always just pay him more. It's funny because like Sting is kind of a knockoff Hogan, and it worked. But Renegade was a knockoff Warrior, and it didn't work.
But
It
and
shows
then
that
Sting,
it's the person.
and then Sting kind of does a knockoff Undertaker, and it kills.
Oh yeah, yeah, true. Yeah,
Wait, here's the thing.
And then was a
like-
knockoff Joker far later on.
Oh my gosh. I've never seen any of that. I
Oh.
can't.
I had a perverse pleasure in enjoying it. It wasn't the best, but
He
performed
kind of did
well.
it the other night in AEW, and it was sick. Where he just kind of gets like crazy question guy, and it's cool,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
whatever. But yeah,
That's fun.
It's interesting for me too because I never, again, like just like last week, I would see an hour of Nitro before I turned on Raw, and I knew Sting from the video games. And that was pretty much it.
Yeah.
So it's fun for me to watch this. Is he even doing the splashes yet?
Yeah,
Yeah?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Those-
He does this. The splashes are sick. The press slam is fucking sick, which I like that. Knowing that, like when Crow Sting emerges, like the press slam goes away,
Yeah.
and he fights differently,
Yeah.
Mhm.
which is it's so sick.
Does
He's so
Flair
sick.
do the turnbuckle bump where he flips over it during this match?
Oh, this is peak Flair doing turnbuckle bump. This is the era when I think he did it so much that I remember when he finally actually landed a double axe handle from the top rope, there was a loud cheer because it hadn't happened in so long. 'Cause
Yeah.
he would constantly get stopped.
I also Rob, I'm gonna correct you. This was a great match, I think. Like it's
Okay.
not Eddie and it's not Eddie and
Yeah,
Benoit,
yeah, yeah.
but for a main event,
Story-wise, yeah.
90s
yeah, it's
main
what
event.
as I said, it's exactly what it needed to be. I'm not criticizing it. I just mean there wasn't
Right.
anything like, it's a match where the action isn't as important as the story being told, and the story was
Totally.
great.
And the story was good. Yeah, that's a fair assessment.
I here to bring it back to the like Sting is doing Hogan and then and Hogan and Warrior and like the Ultimate Warrior. The Ultimate Warrior and Sting were started off as a tag team. That's why they have the same face paint.
Mhm.
Is they were called the Blade Runners, which is also sick.
and
Great.
what was the warrior's name?
I think it might have just been
No, they
Warrior
had
or
two
something?
different names.
Yeah,
It was,
but that's where their face paint
hold on,
comes
I'll
from.
look it up.
And it's very funny that every single thing that Vince wanted the Ultimate Warrior to be and was gonna give, if Sting,
Yeah.
if Sting and Warrior swapped, Sting would have been the guy.
I
Sting
wonder.
beats the Warrior beats Hogan clean, and Vince was gonna give him everything,
Yeah.
and everything that Vince wanted, Sting could have given it to him, which I
Agreed.
think is really that's such a shame.
So
And
Sting
Hogan never
was
does it
Sting,
Mhm.
and Warrior was Rock.
Sting and Rock.
Rock and Sting. It's the Blade Runner Rock and Blade Runner Sting. I guess they were supposed to be a Road Warrior knockoff. Was the
This
idea.
dude Sting cannot get away from knockoffs.
Yeah.
That's his whole.
Well, he
Whatever.
was just a fitness guy. He was a bodybuilder that this guy, Rick Bassman, who like recruited a bunch of dudes, was like, hey, you should train with me. And then I'm gonna get you some gigs. And the gigs ended up being wrestling. And he was like, oh, I guess I'm kind of good at this.
He's incredible.
So I thought this was the end of the show, but turns out we had a whole other segment.
Yeah, there's a whole.
We had Jimmy Hart dropping them mic skills, calling him Hulk Colin, which I fucking died at that. And in what I can't imagine is a good heel move, he started making fun of Hulk Hogan movies for going to the video store before going to the movie theater, which it's like, you're not supposed to tell the truth here.
Right,
like, but okay. And so this segment really confused me because he's talking about how the Giant is Jimmy Hart says because he had the power of attorney for Hulk Hogan, that he wrote in the contract that Hogan can lose the title on a disqualification and that the Giant could win the title on a disqualification. And so because there was a DQ and was it Hogan DQ? I don't know. That the Giant is now officially the champion. Then Gene Okerlund introduces this fucking Joe Schmo lawyer
who's for sure getting beaten up in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But like
you straight up
this was
red
so
shirt
weird to me
on the
because
Star Trek
Yeah.
thing kind of guy.
why did they give this random nobody the big pop of like, you are not the champ? Like, yes, Hogan can lose the title on a disqualification, but you are not the champion. Like, give that to somebody. Like, it blew my mind.
Give
I
it
guess
to Mongo.
No, but
Yeah.
no wrestlers injured. No, there's no one who like. It's very strange.
I mean, they have a commissioner. It's Nick Bockwinkel. Like, he's just not there.
They
It
bring
made
out
no
Zach Woods from The Office.
Exactly. It's like, who is this
Crazy.
dork getting the big pop of the night? It's mind-boggling, some of these creative decisions that WCW makes. But here we have the setup to the next pay-per-view, World War III. It is a 3-ring, 60-man battle royal.
Let's go.
It is fucking insane.
God,
and
that's
now
so
it will be
sick.
for the new WCW World Heavyweight Champion will be crowned. I think they took a dumb idea, and because they did this, I was really upset that the Giant didn't win the title, but now that they ended up here, I'm okay with it.
Yeah,
I like
yeah.
this, and it makes the World War III match mean a lot more.
Why not do the disqualification? Like, yeah, he can win last week, so that at minimum, the Giant gets a week title reign.
Yeah,
Mhm.
right.
And then strip him on this episode.
That is an excellent point. Jimmy Hart could have brought that up last week, and then they could have had this exact segment with the dumb lawyer coming out this week.
Being
Because
like,
last week,
I did a week's worth of work realizing that you should be stripped of it, even though I'm a lawyer and I don't work for the. Why am I here?
Yeah,
What is
yeah,
this?
yeah.
what's so crazy is last week Jimmy Hart did have promo time where he said, hey, I bet you want to know why I did that to Hogan. Well, you're gonna have to wait till next week. You could have said it right there.
So in the like build up for World War III, they say there's 3 rings and 3 giants.
Yes.
Who are the other 2 giants?
Okay, so this is something we've been talking about on the show. I don't know who the third giant is going to be. The first giant is the Giant.
Right.
The second giant is supposed to be the Yeti. And I don't know if we see the Yeti again. I think he does end up in the Battle Royal, but dressed differently from what I vaguely remember. They're desperately running around trying to find a third giant because the giant that they had, the former Giant Gonzalez, I don't know if you remember him.
Yeah, I do.
He bailed. He had a visa issue or something.
He has a visa issue, so he's there, but he can't work, so they have to get.
That's what it is.
Giant.
Thank you.
Holy
so they have to find another giant. The idea for the third giant, while we don't know what it would be, the name of the character was supposed to be T-Rex.
Okay.
Were we going to get a dinosaur? Were we going to get a Tyrannosaurus?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Definitely.
Maybe.
I'm in. Go off. This is their competitor to the Royal Rumble. And I fucking love it. Like, how do you compete with the Royal Rumble?
3
more rings.
Yeah. Triple
Double the amount of people in it and more rings.
Oh my God.
So
honestly, genius rocks. AEW do 6 rings, 100 people.
Do a squared circle.
Yeah, literally.
Make a circle of rings. Yeah.
I think that brings us to the end of the show. This ending segment, it went on so long. I was on my phone.
Yeah. It goes on so long. The Taskmaster says something funny. I forget what, but he just has like a line where he's like, like, dude.
Okay. This should have been before the main. I think this should have been the previous segment. And the Sting thing should have closed it because that was a great cliffhanger.
Oh my God.
Yeah, really weird.
In my heart, that's when the show ended.
Yeah.
And then none of this happened. But we're still getting 3-ring Royal Rumble. I'm in. World War III. I love war. WCW War Crimes. Let's go.
You don't understand. This is war.
This is war. They don't understand. They don't know what war is.
Folks, thank you for tuning in. Please follow us on social media. KNITROPod is the handle on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook. And thank you to Rob Menzer, our beautiful, lovely editor, for watching our faces and making us look so beautiful.
Also, I'm just getting word we've counted the votes from the phone calls. And yep, it's gonna happen. We got the clip from Colin that you all voted for. Take it away, Colin.
It stinks.
Oh yeah,
good point. I didn't think about that.
I agree.
Astute.
Well,
yeah, very astute.
Bo, thank you so much for sitting in with us.
Hey, a pleasure, gents. This is good.
We love you, Bo.
Bo has a podcast you could listen to. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's called Hard Lore.
Yeah. Check that out. We got a wrestling Discord. Join the Hard Lore Discord.
Join the Hard Lore.
Wrestling.
Let's all watch World War III together in the Discord.
Oh, what an idea. That would be fun.
That'd be fun.
Okay. You could do it.
Yeah.
All right, folks.
Hey, folks.
We'll see you next week for whatever the fuck is going to happen now.
Bye.